Okay, there's never a dull moment, and there's always something to talk about. And for those of you who are wondering, grape juice, yeah. My dad had a Pepsi though, but no, that's just regular grape juice. I'm doing pretty good with the Pepsis. I have the odd one once in a while, but I haven't bought a big 2-liter in I don't know how many months now. Sorry, lie. When I went to my sister's, I bought one for her and I. So I'm doing pretty good. With that. Still down about 10 pounds, 15 pounds, or whatever from stopping drinking that stuff. So the grape juice, it ties me over. Okay, so there's never a dull moment. Just so you guys know what I do. Like, I basically, pretty much from morning to night, I'm either making videos or researching stuff or whatever. And I do watch the mainstream media as well, not because I believe what they're saying, but just to see what they're going to say. And it kind of gives you an idea of what the agenda is. Now, we're going to talk about Jill Stein for a second. Jill Stein, throughout the entire election, was, oh my God, if Hillary Clinton wins, oh my God, it's going to be hell to pay. I won't sleep at night. I don't like the idea of Donald Trump winning, but the idea of Hillary completely terrifies me. So Jill Stein suddenly does this 180, and now she's like on this campaign to do the recounts. And I think what's happened is, and again, to prove this, but I'm just speculating here because she has no dog in this fight whatsoever. Like, I mean, for her to say that she's doing this to, not that I've heard her say this, but for her to say that she's going to get, she might have gotten more votes or something, it wouldn't really matter. The people voted for one of two people pretty much, either for Clinton or for Trump through that election. There's no doubt about that. A handful of other people, I'm sure she got some votes, but nothing that would warrant the wasting of the money, the millions of dollars to recount. Now, think about this, and I want you to think about this logically. Where did the money come from? Like, to raise money for recounts, talking between $5 and $7 million out of nowhere in like a couple of days. Think about that. For a political candidate to get the private, public citizens just to kick in that much money that quickly. Even over like a couple of months. I mean, think about something else like, say, a heart drive or, run for cancer. Very hard to get people to donate for something like that. So where did this money come from? My suspicion is George Soros. So why Jill Stein? Why is she doing this? Well, I think because Hillary can't do it, right? Because all that mess that was made about accepting the election results. So I think she's doing it on behalf, but the question is why? Maybe they paid her, maybe whatever, maybe that was the plan all along or the plan B. I have no idea. But pretty much something I said, what somebody else said, and I picked, like I said, they could still steal this election from Trump, and it looks like they're trying to do it. Because here's how it's going to go. And this is why they would do it now, not right away, right after because timing is everything here. Because the idea is not to have enough time to recount all the votes. That's the key. And why that is so important that they don't have time to recount the votes is simple. If they can't recount the votes in time for the Electoral College to make their decision, well, they'll just say, well, we don't know who the winner was. And because they could say that, they'll say, well, let's just go with the popular vote. Hillary Clinton wins the election. Then I dare I say, I hope I'm not right on this one, but it looks like they're trying to make a move for that. It's not to really see who won the election, because I have a feeling if they really counted it again, Trump will get even more votes, because it's looking like where they're doing it, Trump's getting even more votes than what he did. So the recounts are actually working in Trump's favor, not the other way around. So the idea is not to do the actual recount. It's to get Donald Trump out of power. I can't believe, which gives you a civil war. Like, you could have civil war by Christmas. Like, I'm not kidding you. Oh my God. Like, I can imagine there's people right now saying, go ahead, do it, see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm just a Canadian watching all this madness go on. I'm like, that's unbelievable. And I believe Trump, again, you have Obama, like anybody watching the mainstream media, and I know a lot of people do, they're not going to realize what's happening. They think everything they're watching on the mainstream media is legitimate. Heck, even some of these political analysts, I think they believe what they're saying too, because they don't realize the system that they work for. It's like the guy at the hall the other day. Again, I nothing against him or like that, but the reason this, that, of fake news, like they buy into it like that. They never, it's just the fake news. They don't. But it's one of those things that when you look into the fake news, you find out, hey, the fake news might be reporting on something, or at least asking and inquiring on questions that make more sense. But to me, I think Hillary Clinton is that person. And it's not so much about Hillary Clinton, it's about the system that she upholds. Remember, globalization is a mountain climber effect. One falls, they all fall. So if you take down the globalization in the States via Trump, all these people praising globalization now. There are some people because they don't know any better. The country was never great before. What are you talking about? Before globalization? No, globalization is everything. But I don't think you can fool most of the people. And the governments and the media are completely out of touch with the main populace. Now, here in Canada, yes, because we have one propaganda machine, the CBC, pretty much, everybody just follows that. If you're going to watch any news in Canada on the mainstream television, it's pretty much going to be controlled by the CBC. They're all, with the exception of a few local channels like TVO or something like that. But, CTV, CHRO, I don't know if they're still around. All those, they're all basically umbrella corporation. So if you watch the CBC or you watch them, you're getting the same story anyway. So that's one propaganda machine, right? So, that's all they talk about is fake news and this, what do you call it, a committee of truth, the ones that are going to vet the real news. Does that not sound like a communist ploy or what, a committee of truth? That's something you hear coming out of Stalinist Russia, Pravda, the Committee of Truth for Pravda, right? So, yeah, there we go. Pravda is Russian for propaganda machine, I guess. And the whole thing here is that the Clintonites, so to speak, they'll be ecstatic. Oh, wait, I told you she won. And they want to overthrow the Electoral College. Strangely enough, if you really understand what Justin Trudeau's actually talking about here in Canada for electoral reform, it sounds like he's trying to install an Electoral College. It really does. So, in the States, you're going to have all these, again, mind you, they don't really have a plan yet. It's something they threw out during their election campaign that we're going to do electoral reform. But it's not something people were really calling for. We have the first past the post kind of method here. But in the States, again, a lot of people, I remember I mentioned to the guy the other day, there was 3 million illegals that voted for, I don't know, that's fake news. No, Obama is on mainstream media saying, his exact words is, if you're illegal, go ahead and vote, there will be no repercussions for you. Maybe a little bit different wording, but it's pretty much exactly what he said. Yeah, Obama told the illegals to go to vote. There are illegals that voted. The Democratic Party, again, by the fake news, caught, Operation Veritas. If you haven't seen that one, go have a look. And again, especially if you're pro-Clinton, you might want to look into that stuff. Now, if you go look at it and say, well, yeah, I don't care. Well, ends justify the means because we're the good guys. Well, then there's nothing we can do for you. But if you are a fair-minded person and you don't believe in cheating and stuff like that and you want fair results, because you have to understand, if that side does it, the other side's eventually going to do it. So when on Project Veritas, when you have this Democratic person sitting there, we've been rigging the votes since 1957. We bust people all over the place to vote multiple times. That's why they want to get rid of voter ID and call it racist bigot if you actually want to prove that you're a citizen voting in the country. Illegals should not be allowed to vote in your country. If I fly to another country during an election time, I should not be able to vote in there. I'm here now, I might as well cast my vote too. No. If I've been illegally in that country, I shouldn't have a say. I didn't. That's. I don't know why that's hard for people to get. I get the nihilistic, altruistic people out there that they don't we have to do everything for everybody else all the time. I get that as becoming a religion with the social justice warriors, but it's so nihilistic. You have to put logic and reason here. Let's put it this way. Let's say you are a Clinton supporter, and a rash of neo-Nazis come flooding into your country in the millions, and they want to take part in your vote. You're going to have something to say about that, right? Of course you are. If you're a libertarian and a rash of communists come flooding into your country in the millions, and they're just going to take part in your vote illegally, you're going to have something to say about that. You know what I mean? This is logical. This is why you can't let illegals vote. If you're not a citizen, you shouldn't get to vote. That's simple. So 3 million people voted for Hillary Clinton, meaning if you remove just those, never mind the other fraud, God knows how much Donald Trump actually won by. And like I've been saying, Donald Trump wasn't going to win because they're going to steal it. Well, I might still be right. Yes, I kind of technically lost the bet. But I won in the fact that Hillary Clinton, I was right in the fact that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, so to speak, but she stole it. She stole it. She stole. And I mean, all these lefties that agree that Hillary Clinton stole the election from Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders clearly got more votes than Hillary. She stole it from him. You don't think she's going to try to steal it against her main adversary and opponent, Trump? Of course she is. But it's not her that rigs the system. This woman isn't that smart. This is the whole point. This system is trying to save itself. Donald Trump is a wild card. Trust me. It took 100 years for the Rothschilds and Rockefellers to put in this New World Order thing. They're not going to give it up like that. There's in a fight. So, what happens when they say, well, we don't know who clearly won the election? Well, let's go with the popular vote. And then they'll say, well, Trump's not accepting the results. You know what I mean? Okay, it won't matter what Trump says at that point. At that point, the populace has a decision. Either we have a military coup and restore... again, these world elites, they don't understand what they kind of understand what they're doing, but they don't understand that, Donald Trump was the last chance at rule of law. It's like, okay, if you want to try to steal the system at a later date, go ahead, but if you do it now, yes, people will take to the streets, there's no doubt about that. But the people that they're going to be overthrowing are going to turn revolutionary, like that. Mind you, they kind of want this anyway. They do want a civil war in the States because a civil race war to break it up. And again, China and Russia do benefit the most from this. However, it doesn't mean they will benefit depending on who wins the war. And they say, oh yeah, but the police state, they got drones and cameras, NSA and FBI. Okay, you've got the whole U.S. Army. Okay, the whole U.S. Army, NSA, FBI, CIA, DHS, all together is maybe 8 million people. That has to fight off another 312 million people, roughly, or 300 million people. Who do you think is going to win in a populist uprising? The system? I mean, there's no way every soldier that goes along with rounding people up and stuff like that is going to get shot in the face. Them and their families. There's just going to be no replenishment. Bringing in UN troops, they'll just get slaughtered. If wearing a blue helmet will get you killed. There's no doubt about that. Why? Because it'll be 1776 in 2016. I have no doubt about that. Will it take place on the first day? No, but there are going to be a lot of... If Trump has the election stolen from him, which it could still happen. I mean, this is a move to do that. This is clearly a move to do that. Because I was trying to figure out, well, what's the point of doing the the recounts are going to come out in favor of Trump if you factor in, and again, if Trump really, of course on the mainstream, oh, well, Trump's saying that illegals voted, 3 million illegals voted. They did. They did. It's documented. They did. Is it exactly 3 million or is it 2,900,000, 8,200, like that? Okay, we don't know the exact number. That's the whole point. But on the recounts, whatever you can verify, the Electoral College, that's where they're doing the coup. That's where they're doing the coup. Maybe what they did was on purpose say, okay, let's give him the Electoral College because he's going to win the popular vote. Okay, so it's too close to call. So, okay, we'll give him the Electoral College and then we'll recount the Electoral College and then steal it that way. Because it was probably, if there were no Electoral College, yes, Hillary Clinton won, but if they did a recount, chances are Trump is going to win by a lot. If you take away 3 million, just the illegals, he wins by 1 million, 2 million votes right there. That's how close the election was. Now, that said, you take away all the people who voted 10 times or whatever, or 3 times or whatever, and there's documentations of people doing that. Now, I can imagine both sides did this. So Trump will lose some, but it's mostly going to be on the Democratic side where this has been happening. And you got people posting it on Facebook. So again, these leftists, they're so psychopathic, they don't even realize when they're admitting criminality. And it's the repercussions that need to happen. So the thing is it won't happen right away probably, but you could have a civil war by Christmas. It sounds fantastical, but just think of what the reaction is going to be when they steal it from Trump. I mean, this was the last voice of reason. This was the last ditched attempt at remaining rule of law before the people take to the pitchfork revolution. Now, we also have to keep in mind that why I believe Trump won by so much. I knew they were going to try to steal it from him, but you just have to look at, this is something that a lot of people don't consider. Okay, look at the historical, sorry, let me dog it. The historical things that happened. Number one, ICE, the Border Patrol there. First time in their history, they side with endorse a president, or a candidate, Trump. The minority vote, the largest the GOP in their history has ever gotten of a minority vote, and African American vote, and other minorities, Trump. Again, they've never achieved that. More minorities voted for him than any other GOP candidate in history, including Ronald Reagan. That type of thing. The amount of endorsements by the military, almost as high or higher than Ron Paul, from what I understand. Highest the GOP has had in history. The rallies, okay, Clinton had to cancel a couple of rallies because not enough people showed up. They were paying people to show up at the Clinton rallies. Trump rallies were sold out everywhere. Stadiums packed beyond capacity, thousands of people on the outside. Hands down, he won. Hands down, he won. Again, if you move, there's probably, I don't know how much, let's say 1% of the population voted several times for Clinton. Okay, so that could be of the voting population that voted for Clinton. We're talking almost 60 million people voting on each side, right? So 120 million people. That's the largest turnout of their vote in history in the States. So again, you can go check the numbers. Maybe I'm off a little bit, but you get the idea. So there's just some things that are just factual and you can't deny. So for all the people, again, that, there's some people too that they'll allow their bias to align with one side or the other, and I get that. I mean, the people who support Trump, there's nothing you can say to change that. The people that support Clinton, there's nothing you can say to change that. But for the people that are reasonable in the middle and really looking for the truth, this is why they go to the alternative media, and they see all that. Now, Trump isn't going to be perfect, but he is stepping in the right direction on a lot of things. Now, look at what they're doing with Trump. Oh, every decision he makes is just a blunder and wrong and whatever. And there also looks like they're setting up the economic collapse to blame it on Trump. So there's going to be rough times ahead. I mean, if the bizarre just doesn't stop. I mean, the things we've seen are firsts in history. You know what I mean? This is uncharted. We're not, like I said the day after Trump won, uncharted territory. We don't know where we're going to be. This is really unpredictable. But what we can predict is global elites, New World Order types, the people in this globalized system, they will fight to get it back one way or another. These people are genocidal maniacs. They believe they're beyond the law and no boundaries. What they don't realize is that if rule of law fails, they die. And they won't make it to their bunkers. They'll be slaughtered long before that. That's why they're trying to get a war going with Russia and China so much. Again, these people are desperate. They got to save their system one way or the other. However, we go to war, you know who to target. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Not recommending any violence or anything like that, but the people are going to know who to go after. You're going to know Rothschild, Rockefeller. Those people, they're so well done. It's not like World War II where you have to go on eyewitnesses to figure out who's who. This, you can go and get a complete read-up of just about any person on the planet on the internet. You can get several identification markers. You can find out their history. And plus the people that they have to trust the most, for example, like Rothschild bodyguards and stuff like that, I mean, these people have families too. They could just turn around and just grab their pistol and shoot them in the head. Like they can do stuff like that. And we're probably going to see bodyguards, just watch for bodyguards assassinating their assignments. Like that type of stuff. I think it's going to get interesting no matter which way they go. But it looks like, yes, Hillary Clinton is going to try to, because it's not just Hillary Clinton. Remember, if Trump gets inaugurated, I mean, he's leaning towards the stuff he says pretty heavily. Again, we don't really know what game he's going to play. Maybe he's just in on it altogether, and new boss, same as the old boss, right? But he's not. This, again, the indications do seem to be more that Trump is the real deal. Will he be able to do everything he wanted to do? No. But they don't care. Trust me, these people, if it was just about building a wall, they wouldn't care. These people meaning the world elites, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Henry Kissinger, George Soros, Zygmunt Brzezinski, Clintons, Bushes, Obamas, Blairs, list goes on, right? And Bushes and all them. The thing is that that's not what they're worried about. What they're worried about is the banking system. Taking out the, these, mind you, they are putting Rothschild and Goldman Sachs guys at the top of the banking system. That's what Trump is doing in his signing, which is very kind of scary. But these could also be guys that they know who to go after. That could be the coup in itself. The Supreme Justice, stuff like that. It's who he appoints is going to be interesting. And again, remember, Trump only has a sea of deplorables and misfits to choose from. So, again, some of the pickings are not going to make sense at first. But remember, if Trump does what he says he's going to do, any of these people he appointed, they know too much. So either those people get knocked off, watch for accidents and suicides. You're about to see a large jump in suicides amongst the world elites. And they're not going to be suicides. Again, they always make it look like an accident, but like that rash of, I think it was like 84 prominent bankers that got knocked off in 2011, 2012. I forget what year it was when I covered that, but anyway, it was just like, oh yeah, they're going to put everybody in jail, but they're all dead. It's funny how these guys commit suicide a day or two or a week before they got to testify. It's funny how they all do that, right? Yeah. Coincidence, must be coincidence. It's like all these politicians here in Canada dying in plane crashes this year. We had 2 or 3 of them so far. I mean, maybe it's a coincidence, but you never know. Or it was a Breitbart's car that blew up and the engine went flying 150 feet down the street. When a car just kind of did some funky thing. This is one thing about electronic cars that you got to worry about is they can be hijacked. Proven on the mainstream media. Yes, they can be hijacked, like a radio control. So your brand new SUV turns into a radio controlled car that the NSA crashes on you. Oh, driver error. That kind of thing. You laugh, but it's already openly admitted. This is not conspiracy theory. This is stuff that they were talking about on the mainstream media. And if you only believe the mainstream media, well, they just admitted, yes, we can kill you with your car. That's why I like analog things. They're unhackable. But that said, yeah, we'll have to just wait and see what happens here. But again, Jill Stein, I think, is just the front for the system. What did they offer her? Again, Steinsenbergs. Again, I have nothing against Jewish people, but it seems like every time you got one of them at the top, they always do something like this. Bolshevik Bernie would have been worse, I'm sure. But he would have been survivable in comparison to Clinton. That said, Jill Stein, again, how does she go from being on the good guy's side, so to speak, saying, okay, well, I don't like Trump, but, I'd hate to see Clinton, Clinton win because whatever, and her claims at the time, I believe, were legitimate. Yes, Hillary Clinton is calling for war with Russia and Iran and everything. Yes, Trump is still a bit of a wild card on Iran. I don't know what he's going to do there, that type of thing. But at the end of the day, why does she do the 180? Why did she, I could see her coming up and saying, well, I'm going to be critical of Trump's policies, for the next 4 years. That's one thing. But why call a recount? There's no possibility of her of winning or anything. Like for an extra 10 votes? It's not going to, it's not going to do it. So it's not about getting the recount. Look at how late they wait. Why does she wait till now? Why not do it the day after or a couple of days after? If she could raise $5 to $7 million like that to do recounts, why wouldn't they do it? Why do they do it now? Again, there might be a logical explanation for this, but if these votes are tied up past the Electoral College's, on the CBC here, the political analyst said it was on the 13th, not the 19th. So that means that's only a week away, or a week and a bit away, less than 10 days away. So that means that the Electoral College is going to make its decision on the 13th instead of the 19th. So that means it's going to be impossible for these, 75 areas to be recounted. It'll be impossible. That type of thing. So that's the goal. Okay, well, we don't know who won the election. We don't know who truly won. Well, let's just go with the popular vote. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to try to do. Will it fly? Well, Hillary Clinton won't live very long. I'm not making any threats, but think about it. She steals the election. I mean, they're that close to a revolution down in the States anyway. And if you're law enforcement or military or DHS or whatever, CIA, NSA, if you're one of those scumbags that are watching right now, what do I tell you? You're doing the wrong thing. You're watching the wrong people. You're protecting the wrong people. You should have put Clinton in jail. If you're CIA and you didn't put Clinton in jail, you're a douchebag. You're not protecting your country by protecting the system. No, ends doesn't justify the means here. Uphold rule of law. Put these world elites in jail before they get any more people killed. And stop the madness. That said, Hillary Clinton already lost. Leave it at that. Stop these counts. Say no. We recognize the official count. We're going to go with that. So I don't know what else to tell you, but that's the narrative they're pushing now. That we don't know if these counts are going to be done in time. So, and I don't hear them saying, well, if the counts are done in time, well then we got to push the date back until they're done. That would be legitimate. That would say, okay, well at least Okay, we're not going to make a decision until we know what the counts are. But, oh, well, we're going to make our decision whether the counts are in or not. They're going to steal the election. And it's not just for Hillary Clinton. You have to understand, if Hillary Clinton, if Trump does, and I'm pretty sure he's going to go after Hillary Clinton. He can't do it till he's inaugurated. This is what they're trying to avoid. Because once he's inaugurated, once that steam train starts picking up speed, that juggernaut isn't going to be stopping. And when she goes down, she's a domino. I have a feeling if they can't steal the election, Hillary Clinton will be dead within probably 30 days of Trump's inauguration. Probably. I'm not making any threats. Yes, the system will kill her. There's just no doubt about it. I mean, heck, if I can only have the access to the information the NSA and the DHS and CIA and all that have on this woman, it's the people that surrounds her. That's who. I mean, think about it. I just want you to think about this logically over the email scandal. Okay, just the email scandal. I mean, if that was all it was, that would be bad enough. But she got convicted. Okay, they found her guilty. She was guilty. And if this was you would be rotting in jail for 1,000 years. They would make such a story out of you that it wouldn't be. They'd still be talking about it. They'd still be, oh my God, the biggest traitor of the country. But yet she walks free. You go steal a chocolate bar, you're going to spend 5 years in jail. You know what I mean? And yet this person walks free because the FBI director was like, well, we don't see any ill intent in what she did. Okay, well, I stole the chocolate bar because I was hungry. There was no ill intent there. I didn't do it to be mean or anything like that. I was just hungry. That's not an excuse, boy. No excuse for law. You know what I mean? So, so I can imagine right now there's going to be a lot of agents going rogue. And again, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 of hellhounds. The stage 1 hellhounds, basically, they trying to restore a rule of law as much as possible. But they're in a system that's so corrupt, I don't know if they're going to fail. It's clear that they're going to fail. If Hillary Clinton is not in jail by now, with the many evil deeds this woman has done, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not being a blackpilling people here, but I'm thinking it's going to go to the second wave before people get it. And then, I'm not saying there will be a military coup in the States by 2017, but the possibility has just gotten a lot more likely. The world elites believe that the little people will never rise up. That's why tyrants always get so far in history, is because they never believe the little people will rise up. Because little people believe in rule of law. But you're showing them that there is no rule of law, that it is an oligarchy and a mob rule. Literally a mob rule. So, if it gets to that point, then you have to rely on police officers and law enforcement military to save that. So there are going to be guys that are going to, I don't think it'll happen a lot at first, but it will happen. Now, the thing is what's different between this kind of pitchfork revolution that's on its way. I mean, I really did have hope that Trump was going to be able to pull this off, but again, they're fighting him every tooth and nail, so if they're fighting him this far and he's not even inaugurated yet, maybe the goal is to make sure he never gets inaugurated. Or put the presidency up in limbo for the next 16 months or something like that, 18 months, just so that nothing can happen, allow an economic collapse, declare martial law. So does Obama get his third term? I don't know. I really don't know. He does sound like he doesn't want it. And I'm not saying that he's just saying, "Oh no, I'm not going to." I mean, in his actions, where's he been the past couple of weeks? You know what I mean? He's not doing anything that he really. He's not going out his way to do anything. You know what I mean? Yes, he has a few obligations that he has to tie up, not loose ends, but tie up his legacy or whatever. But other than that, this guy's going to be playing golf for the rest of his life. You know what I mean? Like the douchebag that he is. But you have to understand. If Trump does what he says he's going to do, the amount of people that are going to go to jail is going to be phenomenal. The amount of criminality to expose all that. So they have to stop him now. This is probably last ditched attempt. So we again, just if you're a Democrat and you voted for Hillary, just think of what the mainstream media was saying all the time of accepting the election results. That's all they promoted weeks up to will Donald Trump accept the election results? Will he accept the election? Well, he did. She didn't. But right now it's like, yeah, but it's Jill Stein doing the recount, not Hillary Clinton. To think about it logically, there is no reason for Jill Stein to be. And how does she raise that much money that fast? Again, I know this is the fake news, but these are legitimate questions. These are legitimate questions. How do you raise? Just think about a cancer drive. Just think about an MS drive or a drive for UNICEF or something. to raise that kind of money in like a night, 2 nights. Very difficult to do without massive organization. Very difficult to do, and very difficult to do without big donors. So to me, there's one guy that always pops up. We know who funds Hillary Clinton. Rothschilds has given money. Goldman Sachs has given money. Rockefeller Foundation has given money. Soros gives money to Clinton. We know who she surrounds herself with. The Department of Justice has given, the FBI is, well, I know the Department of Justice has given money to the Clinton Foundation, et cetera, to Hillary Clinton. We know that. There's conflict of interest all over the place. Like the banking cartels, Goldman Sachs, if I didn't say them, I think I did, but again, giving money. We know who is, the mainstream media moguls give money to Hillary Clinton for her campaign. The conflict of interest is definitely there. Easy to track the money, follow the money, you figure it out. So even if you're a hardcore Democrat, if you do believe in rule of law and you do believe in the idea of fair, regardless if it goes your way or not, if you believe in fairness, then you got to ask these questions. Why would they do the recount now so close to the point where they know they cannot count all these places? Which they don't have to count them all. They can count a few and just say they're the ones that are left over. Oh, well, now you got a sway. It's like, well, those could be sways. They could go in favor of Clinton. They can go in favor of Trump. We don't really know, but we don't know who won the election. Well, Hillary Clinton has clearly the majority, so we'll go with her. And then, wow, she stole the election. Wow. While you're out there shopping for your Christmas presents, I'll just leave it on this. Buy a couple of bags of rice. I always give rice a plug because it's cheap. You saw what I bought. Okay, when I lost the bet that Donald Trump was going to lose, I said Donald Trump was going to lose because Hillary Clinton was going to steal it. Hillary Clinton got yes, I was wrong. I know some of you, no, Reg, just admit you're wrong. Okay, I was wrong. Yes, I was wrong. But they did try to steal it. They're still trying to steal it. Hillary Clinton's goons are still trying to steal it. And again, it's not really about her. It was never about Trump and Hillary Clinton. It's about empire. This New World Order versus globalism versus civic nationalism, that type of thing. That's the fight. And what you have to understand is we're in unpredictable times. They could crash the economy days before after Trump's inaugurated. But the economy's doing so well right now. The stock market's up. And again, I remember having this conversation. And it's hard because you want to just say, oh, no, it's this. But you can't just lay it on people like that because they have to come to these conclusions for themselves. So when I was having the conversation, it was like a short 2-minute conversation. I did get a couple of things in there, such as you do realize that both sides have propaganda. It was, oh, yes, I realize that. And I said, well, you do know about the 3 million illegals that go, oh, that's just fake news. And he explained the fake news to me. It's just these kids that want to, make money off of AdSense and stuff like that. And it's like, I wish the conversation could have went a little bit further, and he's like, well, I talked to my cousins in the States, and they're, because we're up here in Canada, they're filling me in on what, but I talk to tons of Americans, what I mean? But I'm following it closely. And then he goes to the stock market and goes, look, the stock market's up, it's good, everything's good, you know what I mean? And I'm like, but if you only knew how rigged it was, the main reason why the economy hasn't crashed is the reason why Hillary Clinton was supposed to win the election. It's rigged. You know what I mean? I mean, this is like open in your face rigging right here. It's like, it's not even rigging, it's stealing at this point. Like, I mean, wow. Like, how could you see it for anything else other than that? This is why more Democrats in history also voted for Trump. Voted for like a GOP. Like the complete 180. It's like they hate the idea of Hillary Clinton so much that they'll vote everything they're against. They'll vote for Trump. Just these numbers. Yes, there's a polarization of the states. There's the people that are informed. There are the people that are ill-informed, single-issue voters. I get that. And there's also, just blind, bias. Hillary Clinton doesn't matter. Hillary Clinton can do no wrong no matter what, and it's just racists and bigots that are saying these bad things about her. Meanwhile, the evidence is so overwhelming. The woman can fix herself on her own words. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. So is Trump a nice guy? No, I mean he's a wild card. There's no doubt about that. He says things, sure, but if you just listen to his new speeches as unifying. And again, if you're anti-Trump, go listen to his speeches. I mean, I've listened to hours of Trump. I listened to hours of Clinton. Listened to hours of Bernie. I didn't listen to hours of Jill Stein, but I listened to a few sound bits and interviews here and there. So I know what these people are thinking, and Trump really does seem to his speeches are motivational. whether you like him or not. I mean, his speeches are motivational. You'll hear minority after minority that went to rallies saying how great these rallies were, how positive they were, how there was people of all walks of life, all races, all creeds there, unified. This is exactly what the establishment doesn't want. If you haven't picked up on the race baiting on the mainstream media versus what Trump's saying, no, we're going to be unified again. Everything he's saying, is it believable? I don't know. It sounds a bit utopianistic, but you never know. He's already got guys like Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks congratulating him on the air conditioner, First Air, whatever the name of the air conditioner, saving 1,000 jobs there. And the thing is, and somebody else put out a really good point here. Ramsey Paul put out a good point here. He goes, people don't realize what Trump just did there. He goes, look, he got First Air to keep 1,000 jobs, but he says he probably saved 100,000 times more jobs because the amount of people that, he goes, under the old system, those jobs are going out of the country, no matter insourcing and outsourcing. People here, the indigenous populations are basically, they want minimum wage and they're too expensive. So we're going to either bring in a robot economy to undercut the labor, or we're going to flood in third worlders to work for half the price. And you're seeing it in the States like crazy where people have to train their replacements from the third world. What could possibly go wrong? So everybody's taking a pay cut, right? The insourcing is coming in. That's part of globalization. Outsourcing. All the jobs. I mean, we saw it here with Bombardier, how they got $7 billion to boost Bombardier, only to send thousands of jobs to Mexico, to build stuff in Mexico. And it's not because of the labor costs. It's the regulations. They don't have labor codes there that protect the environment and stuff. It's more the environmental regulations that give them the work. That's why, like China, look at their environment. India, same thing. These, no scrubbers in their coal plant stacks, that type of thing. So what he was saying, what Ramsey Paul was saying is that right now, everything's up in the air because they don't know what regulations and taxes and tariffs Trump is going to bring in. So people aren't going to just start rushing their jobs out to China right now. They're going to hold off and see what's up. So that means those jobs are going to stay here for a little bit while longer until they know what's going on. And if they see that it's a more benefit to keep the jobs here, meaning you send your jobs to Mexico, go ahead, but we're going to put such tariffs and taxes on you. I don't believe in free trade, to be honest with you. Free trade is why we got globalization. It sent everything over there. There are aspects of free trade that are good. You want to be as minimalistic with your tariffs and taxes, but if you want a fair trade system, whoever has the highest standard, that's what we should thrive to. Okay, let's say Canada and Norway want to do trade, something to do with gas pipelines. Say, okay, well, here in Canada, if you're in the gas industry and you need pipe fittings, industrial pipe fittings, you come to Canada. We're world renowned for industrial mining, pipe. We build the equipment for you to do that stuff. So let's say Norway needs a certain type of pipe, but their standard is 4 times higher than ours. So, okay, well, we'll do business with you, but, okay, well, we'll meet your standard. So we'll build our pipe to your standard because it's higher than ours. But let's say our wages are higher than Norway. Okay, well, we'll sell you these pipes, but you have to pay your people over there that are going to be using these pipes as good as us in the equivalent, whatever. Okay, so everybody over there gets a rate hike, a pay hike, okay, and the cost is a little bit up, sure, but there's more money flowing around. We're racing the dollar up rather than down. Standards go up. There is going to be limitations. There will be faults in this system too. But the one with the highest standards will equal out so that this person can't just come in and undercut our labor, undercut our regulation, undercut our quality control, that type of thing, like China does. So if we tell China, okay, yeah, sure, we'll do business with you, but here's all the junk that you send us, okay, whatever is defective and doesn't work, we got a ship coming back and you got to recycle that. If you don't recycle it and you just throw it in the landfill, we're not buying it. These kind of deals, wheel and deal like that. And that's what I think Trump is going to start doing. So it's a fair trade system rather than a free trade system. Again, like anything, because we know globalization, we've had it for 40 years now, and it doesn't really work that well. Everybody's wealth is going down. My generation was the last generation, Generation Xers, were the last to get wealth greater than the previous generation. Millennials, Generation Y, and Millennials, they're living out of freaking cars now. You know what I mean? Like everybody's living in their parents' basement. Even my generation is starting to lose out. That type of thing. So this is the whole key here about them stealing the election, is that they want to keep that system going. So if Trump can save a few jobs, okay, that's good optics. It's the optics on it. It's 1,000 jobs, but it's the first time Obama hasn't done this once. Obama is, sent jobs out of the country. Justin Trudeau up here in Canada, a Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership and CETA, SOPA, all those things. That's all, again, sending our jobs all over there. He's touring South America for business. Well, how about just working on the people that are unemployed here? You know what I mean? So that's why globalization is going to fail, because people want to take care of their own. They don't want to have their country flooded with third worlders for cheap labor, or just to sway a vote one way or the other. They want to, they want to have self-rule and autonomy, but they also want to have wealth come back to the country. And again, if you follow the globalism chart, it pretty much right from the 1970s to now, when they came off the gold standard, you see the debts soar, and you see the you see the wealth just start to slowly. You get a boom around the 90s, and then then you got the dot-com bubble that busts. Once that busts, it's been pretty much steadily downwards since there. I remember that. I remember all my friends that worked for Nortel and JDS and Corral and all that, and I told them, they were making 40 grand a year. This is back in the 90s. 40 grand a year back in the 90s was pretty good. And I told them, I said, if they're hiring 10,000 people a day, you better watch out, because anything that, it's like a mining mine. Whatever hires in bulk, fires in bulk. And they all did that and whatever, and then all of a sudden the layoffs just start coming in. Some of them survived it. I think, I don't know what the numbers of layoffs were. Was it 80% got laid off, 90%? A lot of these companies went belly up, et cetera, et cetera. And there was no recovery from that. By that time, we're in a service sector economy. So all these high-paying, high-tech jobs, they're few and far between now. There's still a lot out there, but it's not like it was, right? So the boom, the dot-com boom, was a boom and a bust, right? And you're going to get those cycles. But the thing is where the real stability of a country is in entrepreneurship, in opening up small businesses. Not big corporations, but small businesses. It's greener, it's more stable, and you're not dependent on globalized trade. Now, if Donald Trump cuts the tax rate by 35% in the States, yes, he's going to have to do massive austerity in the government. This is one thing I haven't heard about his austerity plan. Who the hell is he going to fire? But government employees, same thing in Canada, like the government's getting bigger. The only jobs that the Liberals, the Liberals here, for example, are $30 billion over their deficit in 1 year, when they're only supposed to raise the deficit by $10 billion a year. So like I said, it's going to be about $120 billion in the 4 years. They've created something like, maybe, according to the Liberal Party, 100 jobs for that. But we're investing in the economy and this. No, they're not. No. You didn't win there. Justin Trudeau, what a disaster. What a disaster. It's only when you hit people in the pocket. When they lose everything, they lose it, right? Well, right now, getting back to the States, this recount, again, Trump's signaling that he's going to be the real deal. They're terrified. People are not only going to go to jail, but they're going to lose hegemony. They can't just kill them, because if they do, they'll get them. Again, these people won't be able to make it to their bunkers. The names are already known of who's doing what. And anybody in this system, whether they're FBI, law enforcement, military, or whatever, that is protecting this system, they go down with that system. The news media and everything like that. This is why the news media is at such an all-time low. Now, the conversation I had the other day at the hall, again, it was a very quick one. And again, mind you, this guy was more of a baby boomer generation, so just maybe late Gen Xer, early baby boomer type of thing like that. So, these people still watch the mainstream media. They don't get their news on so he wouldn't even know what the fake news was, even if he saw it, right? And stuff like that. And I'm not worried about those people, because those people aren't the new. It's the new generations coming in that are waking up. The kids, they don't get anybody under the age of 30 doesn't get their news from the mainstream media. They get it from the internet. If they're like 25 or younger, if they watch news at all. Most people under that age are not really interested in politics by that time. But if they do, it's all on the internet. This is the old world. This is like 8-track tapes. You know what I mean? Cool, it's retro, they're reliable. You can run an 8-track tape over with a tank and it'll still work. But it's a bygone era, And yes, what do you call it? DAT machines have superior sound, whatever. Reel to reel, Neil Young hardcore. No, nothing's better than reel to reel. But that Blu-ray thing is okay. You get it. You get how it goes, right? But anyway, the case in point is simply that if Trump is what he says he is, there's a whole system that's going to crash. The media system is going to take a hit from funding. And remember, all the 6 major news outlets in the States are all owned by one guy who corresponds with Rothschilds, Rockefellers. Again, the same people. He donated to Hillary Clinton's campaign. Again, we see that it's a system against, it's the fall of the Roman Empire is what it is. So anyway, I guess I'll leave it at that. We'll have to wait and see what happens. So I don't know what they would have offered to Jill Stein to make her flip again, but this is also like it was a dirty move. And they had to get her to do it or somebody else to do it. I don't know why they didn't get Bernie Sanders to do it, but, whatever reason, I don't know why, but because it would be more believable coming from him. But he's endorsed Hillary Clinton. So Jill Stein, I don't think she's endorsed Hillary Clinton yet, but the optics are this, that, okay, she's just out there doing this to get a recount to see for what? What's her goal? What you know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense for her to do this close to the Electoral College making their decision. So the only third possibility would be, or maybe second possibility or third possibility would be, okay, first possibility, it's all legitimate, she just wants a recount. Okay, maybe I got some extra votes and I didn't get, whatever. That's a possibility. Okay, very unlikely, but a possibility. Second is, yes, they're trying to steal the election from from Trump. Okay, that's probably the most likely and the most obvious. The third is that, okay, well, I lost, so I'm just going to create havoc and destabilization and, throw a monkey wrench into the plan because I hate the system, right? If I can't have it, nobody can. That could be, it could be just vindiction, you know what I mean? Like that type of thing, if that's a word, vindiction, I don't know. I think vindictive, vindiction, I don't know if that's a word or not, but you know what I mean. That's a possibility, so she's just, trying to make herself relevant, whatever. I don't know. That is a possibility, but the most likely is yes. And this, again, I'm a Canadian. I can't vote in if I would have voted yes for sure, I would have voted for Trump. There was nobody else that was more believable than Trump, and Trump was consistent and still is consistent on a lot of the stuff he says. And the mainstream media out there, especially if you voted for Trump, oh my God, no, he's going back on every single thing he said. No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. He hasn't really reneged on anything. Trump's plan is kind of a slightly vague plan for sure, but the direction is very clear. So how he means to achieve what he wants to achieve is going to be more by the people he appointed. But we won't. With Trump, he's still a wild card. You don't know if he's the legitimate thing. But this is telling me that if they're still trying to steal the election, that they're terrified. The world elites are terrified because they're like, oh my God, if this guy gets in there, he's gonna, we're gonna be hanging. They're gonna lynch us. Like George Bush said, if the people actually knew what we were doing to them, they would lynch us. You know what I mean? Well, that's a thing. He might expose what they're doing. Just wait till he starts getting the Security Council briefings and stuff like that. And what's really going on and who's really funding ISIS. And he's even suggested, well, perhaps maybe we should just stop funding these rebel groups, aka ISIS, that type of thing. He's talking about working with the Russians in Syria. I don't know what his stance is on Iran. Trump's saying that, okay, well, we're going to negotiate with the Russians from a position of strength only. What does that truly mean? I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see. But I do believe, no matter what, 2017, you won't have to go see one movie. Not one. You won't have to go see a play. You won't have to go see a movie. You won't have to, but you're going to have to buy a lot of popcorn because the shit we're about to see is going to be spectacularly bizarre. The future is bizarre. The stuff... I can't even believe I'm reporting on this. They're making an attempt to steal the election. That's the only optics I could see on this. There is no other logical reason for them to do the recount. Nothing. Because it's coming out, the areas where they're recounting, I think there's a couple of areas already, Trump got even more votes. So what happens if they try to steal the Electoral College and they find out that he actually got way more votes and then won the popular vote too, which I believe he won both. It's just, again, if you subtract just the illegals, Trump won both. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it is what it is. So it's, yeah, I'll leave it at that. So anyway, if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like, be true to yourselves, be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. And again, go while you're out there Christmas shopping, don't forget, stock up on food. Have it not, need it not. Let's say nothing happens. Well, you've got extra food in your cupboard. You know what I mean? Let's say they steal the election and the population in the States goes crazy. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I have a feeling you will see the beginnings of true bloody revolution. not a march on Washington, but an attack on Washington. You'll see politicians getting shot in the head. Hillary Clinton would probably be one of them. I'm not making any threats, but if I was an intelligence agency, I'd be looking at this and saying, well, if they're going to, this is going to spark a revolution, 1776 2.0 in 2016 or possibly 2017. So that type of thing. It will definitely set off the wave of second-degree hellhounds. First wave of hellhounds, basically people trying to restore rule of law, call them law enforcement, military, active duty, or veterans. These are people in the system trying, spooks with the conscience, patriots, whatever. Uncle just going down the road there. That type of thing. These people are trying to restore rule of law now. That's what the whole election was that coup of first wave hellhounds, pretty much. Steve Pachenik, even and Alex Jones, even guys like myself who try to get you onto, because I could be wrong. I mean, I do realize that I could be wrong on some of the stuff. That's why we have to watch it so closely. But the optics, to me, are very obvious. The other thing is that we have to look at is if the second wave hellhounds come in, just watch for the body count of, all these politicians and bankers and anybody in the system. They're just going to randomly either be committing suicide or just dying of natural causes, that type of thing. This could be, it's something just to watch. Next to that, if things go awry in the third wave hellhounds, we're talking military coup. We're talking a Saddam Hussein, Fidel Castro, whatever, coming into power, or George Washington. You don't know. These are guys that are coming in military fatigues, putting people up against the wall and shooting them for treason. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, that'll never happen here. Did you ever think it would be this crazy and this far? You know what I mean? Never say never. It can happen anywhere. And that's the number one quote in history is, we never thought that could happen here. This is a nice place. So prepare wisely, put food away. Bread and bullets have that. If you're gold and silver type person, that's fine. But make sure you got cash on hand. I wouldn't leave anything more in the bank than you're willing to lose. I don't have much to lose myself, but the little, carry yourself out as far as you can. We're living in completely bizarre times. So anyway, there we go. So be true to yourself, be true to others, always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. Hey, hi, and welcome. All right. Okay. There's never a dull moment. And there's always something to talk about. And for those of you wondering, grape juice. Grape juice, yeah. My dad had a Pepsi, though. But no, that's just regular grape juice. I'm doing pretty good with the Pepsis. I have the odd one once in a while, but I haven't bought a big 2-liter in I don't know how many months now. Lie. When I went to my sister's, I bought one for her and I. So I'm doing pretty good. With that. Still down about 10 pounds, 15 pounds, or whatever from stopping drinking that stuff. So the grape juice, it ties me over. Okay, so there's never a dull moment. Just so you guys know what I do. Like, I basically, pretty much from morning to night, I'm either making videos or researching stuff or whatever. And I do watch the mainstream media as well, not because I believe what they're saying, but just to see what they're going to say. And it kind of gives you an idea of what the agenda is. Now, we're going to talk about Jill Stein for a second. Jill Stein, throughout the entire election, was, oh my God, if Hillary Clinton wins, oh my God, it's going to be hell to pay. I won't sleep at night. I don't like the idea of Donald Trump winning, but the idea of Hillary completely terrifies me. So Jill Stein suddenly does this 180, and now she's like on this campaign to do the recounts. And I think what's happened is, and again, to prove this, but I'm just speculating here, because she has no dog in this fight whatsoever. Like, I mean, for her to say that she's doing this to, not that I've heard her say this, but for her to say that she's going to get, she might have gotten more votes or something, it wouldn't really matter. The people voted for one of two people pretty much, either for Clinton or for Trump through that election. There's no doubt about that. A handful of other people, I'm sure she got some votes, but nothing that would warrant the wasting of the money, the millions of dollars to recount. Now, think about this, and I want you to think about this logically. Where did the money come from? Like, to raise money for recounts, talking between $5 and $7 million bucks out of nowhere in like a couple of days. Think about that. For a political candidate to get the private, public citizens just to kick in that much money that quickly. Over like a couple of months. I mean, think about something else like, say, a heart drive or, run for cancer. Very hard to get people to donate for something like that. So where did this money come from? My suspicion is George Soros. So why Jill Stein? Why is she doing this? Well, I think because Hillary can't do it, right? Because all that mess that was made about accepting the election results. So I think she's doing it on behalf, but the question is why? Maybe they paid her, maybe whatever, maybe that was the plan all along or the plan B. I have no idea. But pretty much something I said, what somebody else said, and I picked, like I said, they could still steal this election from Trump, and it looks like they're trying to do it. It looks because here's how it's going to go, and this is why they would do it now, not right away, right after the because timing is everything here. Because the idea is not to have enough time to recount all the votes. That's the key. And why that is so important that they don't have time to recount the votes is simple. If they can't recount the votes in time for the Electoral College to make their decision, well, they'll just say, well, we don't know who the winner was. And because they could say that, they'll say, well, let's just go with the popular vote. Hillary Clinton wins the election. Then I dare I say, I hope I'm not right on this one, but it looks like they're trying to make a move for that. It's not to really see who won the election, because I have a feeling if they really counted it again, Trump will get even more votes, because it's looking like where they're doing it, Trump's getting even more votes than what he did. So the recounts are actually working in Trump's favor, not the other way around. So the idea is not to do the actual recount. It's to get Donald Trump out of power. I can't believe, which gives you a civil war. Like, you could have civil war by Christmas. Like, I'm not kidding you. Oh my God. Like, I can imagine there's people right now saying, go ahead, do it, see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm just a Canadian watching all this madness go on. I'm like, that's unbelievable. And I believe Trump, again, you have Obama, like anybody watching the mainstream media, and I know a lot of people do, they're not going to realize what's happening. They think everything they're watching on the mainstream media is legitimate. Heck, even some of these political analysts, I think they believe what they're saying too, because they don't realize the system that they work for. It's like the guy at the hall the other day. Again, I have nothing against him or anything like that. But the reason this, that, fake news, like they buy into it like that. They never, it's just the fake news. They don't. But it's one of those things that when you look into the fake news, you find out, hey, the fake news might be reporting on something, or at least asking and inquiring on questions that make more sense. But to me, I think Hillary Clinton is that person. And it's not so much about Hillary Clinton, it's about the system that she upholds. Remember, globalization is a mountain climber effect. One falls, they all fall. So if you take down the globalization in the States via Trump, all these people praising globalization now, there are some people because they don't know any better. The country was never great before. What are you talking about? Before globalization? No, globalization is everything. But I don't think you can fool most of the people. And the governments and the media are completely out of touch with the main populace. Now, here in Canada, yes, because we have one propaganda machine, the CBC, pretty much, everybody just follows that. If you're going to watch any news in Canada on the mainstream television, it's pretty much going to be controlled by the CBC. They're all, with the exception of a few local channels like TVO or something like that. But, CTV, CHRO, I don't know if they're still around. All those, they're all basically umbrella corporation. So if you watch the CBC or you watch them, you're getting the same story anyway. So that's one propaganda machine, right? So, that's all they talk about is fake news and the a committee of truth, the ones that are going to vet the real news. Does that not sound like a communist ploy or what, a committee of truth? That's something you hear coming out of Stalinist Russia, Pravda, the Committee of Truth for Pravda, right? So, yeah, there we go. Pravda's Russian for propaganda machine, I guess. And the whole thing here is that the Clintonites, so to speak, they'll be ecstatic. Oh, wait, I told you she won. And they want to overthrow the Electoral College. Strangely enough, if you really understand what Justin Trudeau's actually talking about here in Canada for electoral reform, it sounds like he's trying to install an Electoral College. It really does. So, in the States, you're going to have all these, mind you, they don't really have a plan yet. It's something they threw out during their election campaign that we're going to do electoral reform. But it's not something people were really calling for. We have the first past the post kind of method here. But in the States, again, a lot of people, I remember I mentioned to the guy the other day, there was 3 million illegals that voted for, I don't know, that's fake news. No, Obama is on mainstream media saying, his exact words is, if you're illegal, go ahead and vote, there will be no repercussions for you. Maybe a little bit different wording, but